you also, by the way, have a finite amount of caring. And I didn't know this. I was raised by a nurse, and so I was encouraged that give and you give. I was involved in scouting, so community service, give and you give. And my church, give. And I learned that that's part of being a good citizen. It's part of being a good human being. But what I didn't learn is that there were limits to that. And when I went off to college and then eventually started working on college campuses, living in the residence halls, and I was 27 years old and still living in the dorms. And when residence halls, if you are on a college campus that has residence halls, they don't like the D word. They're like, they're not dorms, they're living, learning communities. They're friggin' dorms, relax. But I, had to be available on call. If the phone rang at 2, I had to be on. And sick days, you don't take a sick day because that building's going to burn down if you don't show up. And my grandma taught me sick days are for lazy people. You go to work. We didn't have sick days on the farm, Polly. Oh, I know, Grandma, the farm. I know. And at 27, God, the universe, smiled at me, plucked me up from living where I work, and gave me an opportunity where I had been a volunteer for 7 years. They recruited me to join their management team. So suddenly, instead of working full-time at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, I was going to go over to where I had been volunteering at AIDS Network, this organization that helps people living with HIV and AIDS and also trying to prevent people who are HIV negative from getting the disease. And I was going to get to work there first full-time. And the coolest thing about the job is in the morning, I would go to work. And then at the end of the day, follow me here, I would leave work. It was shocking. I didn't know what to do with myself. And on the first day of staff orientation, they said, Paul, by the way, if you come to work sick, you could kill somebody. Because when you're working with people who are immune compromised, your little cold could be something their bodies can't handle. So if you are sick, you will stay home. And intellectually, I understood that because I had been a volunteer there for 7 years. And we had been taught as a volunteer, if you wake up and you're supposed to drive somebody to the doctor and you're sick, you have to cancel. Even if it means they're going to have to spend money they don't have on a cab, even if it means they're going to miss their appointment, you have to say no. So I understood that idea intellectually, but when it's about work, it's different, right? You can't, especially 2 weeks later when I woke up and I wasn't feeling good, you can't call in sick first month on the job. People are going to think you're lazy. So I had the big choice. Am I going to stay at home and be lazy or go to work and possibly kill somebody? I leaned towards lazy. I stayed at home and discovered some incredible things. I discovered Oprah, love her. I discovered that when you stay at home when you're a little sick, you don't always have to get big sick. Did you know this? I woke up the next morning, I'm like, oh, I'm feeling okay. I must have been faking it. I went back the next day, I went back to work, and here's where the learning got interesting, because it turned out, you guys, they hadn't shut down the agency when I was gone. Yeah, no, shut up. Like, work kept happening. Somebody was like, oh, were you gone yesterday? What? I thought it was me saving everyone else. No. Turns out it's a team thing. Whatever. Most important thing I learned that if my job as volunteer services was to help volunteers understand how important they were to us, if it was my job on the management team to help the staff appreciate how valuable they were, and if our mission was to help people value their health, don't I need to show them that I think I'm important, that I think I'm valuable, that I think I'm worth it? Yes. And ironically, I started taking sick days then for other people. But what I discovered is that when I take better care of myself, I'm a better helper. I have a better me to give.